I never thought my life could change so drastically in one day. My name is Elizabeth. I'm 32 years old, and just yesterday I considered myself a happy wife and mother, part of the respected Baker family in Boston. My husband Michael was a rising star in his father's company, Baker's Technologies, and our 3-month-old daughter Emma was our shared joy. Everything changed at the annual Baker family gathering. We were staying at a luxurious hotel in downtown Boston, where Michael was to receive an award for contribution to family values. The irony of the situation didn't escape me, especially after what I discovered that morning on my husband's phone. Michael had left his phone on the desk in our room while he was showering. I don't usually look through his personal things, but a notification preview caught my eye. "Already missing you. Last night was incredible." From someone named Ashley D., executive assistant. With trembling hands, I unlocked the phone. The password was still our wedding date, which Michael had apparently forgotten to change. What I found turned my world upside down. Hundreds of messages, photos, and even plans for a trip to Hawaii, all with this Ashley Donovan, his new assistant. Now, sitting in the hotel's conference hall and watching Michael rehearse his speech about family values, I felt a strange calmness. The hall's audio-visual system was already set up for his presentation, including a large projection screen and a state-of-the-art video conferencing system. As an IT manager, I understood perfectly well how these systems worked. "Elizabeth, dear," my mother-in-law Barbara called out, approaching with her perfect hairdo and society smile. "Is everything ready for Michael's speech? This award means so much to the family." "Almost," I replied, adjusting Emma's blanket. "Just need to check the technical setup one last time." Barbara beamed. "You're always so thorough. We're blessed to have you in the family." If only she knew what her precious son had been up to with his assistant. But she would soon find out. I noticed Ashley's status on Michael's phone had changed to available, right on schedule. She was probably expecting their usual morning video call. I stood up, handing Emma to her eager grandmother's arms. "Would you mind watching her for a moment? I need to help Michael with the presentation setup." The conference hall buzzed with activity. Members of the large family were taking their seats. Michael's younger sister Olivia was adjusting the flowers on the podium, while his father James, CEO of Baker's Technologies, was reviewing his introductory speech. I approached the AV control panel. "Just double-checking the connections," I told the hotel technician with a smile, watching him finish the setup. My IT background made the next steps crystal clear. The system was ready to automatically display any incoming video calls on the main screen. Michael's phone vibrated again in my hand. Another message from Ashley. "Can't wait for our morning check-in, handsome. I have a surprise for you." I looked up at my husband, who was now greeting elderly relatives with that charming smile I had once fallen for. He had no idea I had seen their plans, how they had discussed using his family connections to start their own company, how they had laughed about me being too busy with the baby to notice anything. 5 minutes until we start," James announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to running board meetings. "Elizabeth, is everything set with the presentation?" "Almost perfect," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Just need to connect Michael's phone for the slideshow." Michael walked over, straightening his tie. "Here you go, honey," he said, handing me his phone without a second thought. "You're always better with the technical stuff." I connected his phone to the system, knowing that Ashley would be calling any minute for their morning meeting, the same morning meeting that had been happening every day at 10 a.m. while I was busy with pediatrician appointments and client calls. "Everyone, Please take your seats, Barbara called out, still holding Emma. We're about to honor a very special member of the Baker family. The lights dimmed slightly, and Michael took his place at the podium. James stepped up to begin his introduction, speaking about family legacy and the importance of moral character in business. I sat in the front row next to Barbara and Emma, watching the small indicator light on the AV panel turn green. Ashley was right on schedule. Her incoming video call would connect any second now. Michael cleared his throat, preparing to accept his award, completely unaware that his carefully constructed world was about to shatter. The Baker name has always stood for integrity, James was saying, his voice filled with pride. And no one embodies our values better than my son Michael. Suddenly, the large screen behind them came to life. Ashley's face appeared, her blonde hair artfully tousled, wearing what was clearly not appropriate office attire. The entire room froze. Hey, handsome, she purred, clearly not realizing she was broadcasting to a room full of people. Missing you already. That quick meeting in your office this morning wasn't nearly enough. Michael's face drained of color. He spun around, finally seeing the screen, then turned back to stare at me in horror. I met his gaze steadily, gently bouncing Emma on my knee. I thought we could discuss those plans to break away from your father's company, Ashley continued, adjusting her camera. I've already started reaching out to some of Baker's Technologies clients. They're very interested in what we have to offer. Barbara's hand flew to her mouth. James's expression hardened as he heard his company's name. The room was dead silent except for Ashley's voice and Emma's quiet coos. Your wife's obviously too busy with the baby to notice anything, Ashley laughed. And once we get your family's main investors on board... Ashley, stop! Michael finally managed to croak out. She froze, finally noticing the background behind him. Her eyes widened as she took in the conference room, the family members, and me sitting calmly in the front row with his daughter. Oh my God, she whispered, her face turning pale. The screen went black as she disconnected. James was the first to break the silence. Son, he said, his voice cold. My office. Now. Elizabeth. I can explain, Michael started, but I cut him off. I think Ashley explained everything quite clearly, I said, keeping my voice level. Though I'm sure the board will be interested in hearing more about your plans to steal company clients. Barbara was crying silently, still clutching Emma's diaper bag. Around us, family members were whispering, phones were being pulled out, and decades of Baker reputation were crumbling in real time. I stood up, gathering Emma's things. I'll have my lawyer contact you, I told Michael, who seemed to have aged 10 years in the past 5 minutes. I'm sure you understand. I'll be seeking full custody. As I walked out of the conference room, Emma secure in my arms, I heard James addressing the stunned family members. I apologize for this unfortunate situation. The Legacy Award ceremony is clearly postponed. I didn't look back. Sometimes karma doesn't need any help. It just needs the right stage to reveal the truth. The next 48 hours passed in a whirlwind of activity. I moved into a suite at a different hotel with Emma, ignoring the constant stream of calls and messages from Michael. By Monday morning, the incident had already sent shockwaves through Boston's business community. I sat in my lawyer's office, Emma sleeping peacefully in her carrier as Sarah Fisher laid out our strategy. Baker's Technologies board has called an emergency meeting, she said, shuffling through documents. Apparently, several clients have already come forward confirming that Ashley Donovan approached them about moving their business to a new venture. So Michael wasn't just cheating on me, I replied, keeping my voice low to avoid waking Emma. He was actively plotting corporate espionage. Sarah nodded. James Baker called. He wants to meet with you privately before the board meeting. I wasn't surprised. James had built Baker's Technologies from the ground up, turning it into one of Boston's most respected companies. The scandal wasn't just a family matter anymore. It threatened the business itself. An hour later, I sat across from James in his corner office, Emma still sleeping soundly beside me. The city skyline stretched out behind him, a view Michael had once hoped would be his. Elizabeth, James began, looking older than I'd ever seen him. First, I want to apologize. What Michael and that woman did is unforgivable, both to you and to this company. I nodded, waiting. James hadn't built an empire by being sentimental. We've frozen Michael's accounts and access, he continued. Ashley Donovan has been terminated, and our legal team is preparing action against both of them, but we have another issue to discuss. He slid a folder across his desk. Inside were details of several major client accounts, ones I'd helped secure through my IT consulting work. These clients are threatening to leave, James said. Not because of the scandal, but because you were their primary technical contact. They trust you. I had worked with many of Baker's Technologies clients, modernizing their systems while Michael took the credit. The irony wasn't lost on me. What are you proposing? I asked, although I already had an idea. We'd like to offer you a position as Chief Technology Officer, James replied. The board agrees we need someone with your expertise, especially now. Your integrity and skills are exactly what this company needs to move forward. I glanced at Emma, thinking about her future. And Michael? His shares will be bought out at minimum value per the company bylaws regarding ethical violations. James's expression hardened. He'll be lucky if he avoids criminal charges for attempting to steal trade secrets. The Baker name stands for something in this city. He forgot that. You never did. Emma stirred in her carrier, and I gently rocked her back to sleep. The position James was offering would mean security for her future. But it was more than that. It was a chance to build something meaningful from the ashes of Michael's betrayal. I'll need to review the contract with my lawyer, I said finally. And I want a seat on the board. James smiled for the first time since the family gathering. Already included. We're not losing you to another company, Elizabeth. Unlike my son, I recognize true value when I see it. The news broke in the Boston Business Journal the following morning. Baker's Technologies announces new CTO amid family scandal. The article was diplomatic but clear. Michael's attempted corporate espionage had failed, and the company was emerging stronger under new leadership. I was reviewing resumes for my technical team when Olivia, Michael's sister, appeared in my new office doorway. She looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. I just saw Michael in the lobby, she said. He's trying to get past security, says he needs to talk to Dad about his shares. I continued scanning the resume in front of me. That's not my concern anymore. Security has their instructions. Olivia moved closer, glancing at Emma sleeping in her portable crib near my desk. He looks terrible, Elizabeth. Ashley apparently took off with most of their money. That Hawaii trip they planned, she went without him, emptied their joint account. Karma works in interesting ways, I replied, making a note on a promising candidate's application. Did you need something specific, Olivia? I have a board meeting in 30 minutes. She sank into the chair across from me. I can't believe he threw everything away. The family name, his marriage, his relationship with Emma. A commotion in the hallway interrupted her. Michael's voice carried through the open door. I have every right to be here. This is my family's company. I pressed the intercom. Security, please escort Mr. Baker from the building. Turning to Olivia, I added, And Olivia, you might want to remind your brother that his restraining order covers this office. Olivia nodded sadly and left. Through my window, I watched Michael being led to the parking lot, his once immaculate suit wrinkled, his golden boy confidence shattered. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, my lawyer. Ashley Donovan spotted in Miami. Local authorities notified regarding the corporate theft charges. I muted the phone as James walked in, carrying a stack of files. Ready for the board meeting? We're announcing the new cybersecurity division today. Just finished reviewing candidates for the team, I replied, gathering my materials. Also, Michael was here. James's expression darkened. I saw. The board's voting on officially removing him as a shareholder this afternoon. His little scheme with Ms. Donovan violated every clause in his contract. As we walked to the boardroom, employees nodded respectfully. Many were my new hires, young tech professionals eager to help modernize Baker's technologies. In just 3 weeks, we'd launched 2 new digital initiatives that had already attracted major clients. Elizabeth. James paused outside the boardroom. I know this can't be easy, running into Michael like that. If you need time... I adjusted Emma's carrier on my arm. What I need is to focus on moving this company forward. Michael and Ashley's drama isn't my concern anymore. Inside, the board members were already seated. These were the same people who used to dismiss me as just Michael's wife. Now they looked to me for leadership. Let's begin, I said, taking my seat at the table. We have a company to run. The quarterly investors meeting fell exactly 1 month after the family gathering incident. I stood at the podium, presenting our new technology initiatives to a packed conference room, the same room where Michael's deception had been exposed. Our cybersecurity division has already secured contracts with 3 major financial institutions, I explained, gesturing to the growth charts behind me. Baker's Technologies is positioned to become a leader in financial technology protection. In the back of the room, a television played silently, tuned to a local news channel. I noticed a few board members glancing at it during my presentation, and when I turned to change slides, I saw why. Ashley Donovan's face was on the screen, being led into a Miami courthouse in handcuffs. Without missing a beat, I continued my presentation. Our second quarter projections show a 40% increase in tech sector revenue. Later in my office, James filled me in on the details. She tried to sell proprietary information to one of our competitors. Unfortunately for her, they have more integrity than she does. They contacted us immediately. And Michael? I asked, organizing reports on my desk while Emma played with her toys in her corner of the office, still claiming he knew nothing about her attempts to steal company secrets, but the evidence suggests otherwise. James handed me a folder. Inside were detailed notes about Baker's Technologies clients, including information that only Michael would have had access to. There were also emails outlining their plan to start a competing company using stolen data and connections. The board's lawyers estimate he's looking at significant legal consequences, James continued, both civil and criminal. I closed the folder. That's not my concern anymore. Have you seen the proposal from the tech startup in San Francisco? Before James could respond, my assistant Emily stepped in. Mrs. Baker. Miss Kennedy, sorry. The developers are ready for the new system test. Thank you, Emily. I stood up, gathering my things. James, we can discuss San Francisco over dinner. Barbara's still coming to watch Emma, right? He nodded, smiling at his granddaughter. She's the only good thing that came from all this. As I headed to the development floor, I passed the wall of company photos. The old one showing Michael and me at last year's charity gala had been replaced with a new image. Me speaking at a tech conference, announcing Baker's Technologies' digital transformation initiative. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Former exec assistant pleads guilty to corporate espionage, faces up to 15 years. Below it was another message. This one from Michael's lawyer, attempting yet again to negotiate terms for his shares. I archived both notifications without reading further. The development team was waiting, and we had actual work to do. Okay, team, I said, entering the conference room filled with eager young developers. Show me what you've got. 1 year after the family gathering incident, I stood in my office overlooking downtown Boston. Emma, now 2 years old, was playing with blocks at her little desk beside mine. At 2, she was already showing signs of her mother's technical aptitude, stacking her blocks in patterns and sequences. The morning's Boston Business Journal sat on my desk. Baker's Technologies reports record growth under new leadership. The article highlighted our successful expansion into cybersecurity and international markets, with our San Francisco office exceeding all projections. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah, my lawyer. Michael's final appeal denied. Full custody remains with you. His prison sentence starts next month. I set the phone aside, turning my attention to more important matters. Our development team was putting the finishing touches on a revolutionary banking security system, and I had a board meeting to prepare for. Ms. Kennedy, Emily called from the doorway. The new tech team from San Francisco is ready for their video conference. Thank you, Emily. I smiled at the irony. This was the same conference system that had exposed Michael and Ashley's deception a year ago. Now it was being used to expand the company globally. Emma looked up from her blocks, waving at the familiar faces appearing on screen. These were the people who mattered now. My team, my daughter, our future. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward and building something better than what you lost. The day Michael reported to prison, I was giving the keynote speech at Boston's Women in Technology Summit. Standing at the podium, I looked out at the crowd of aspiring female tech leaders, many of them recent hires at Baker's Technologies. Success isn't built on shortcuts or schemes, I told them, thinking of how differently things had turned out from what Michael and Ashley had planned. It's built on innovation, integrity, and the courage to move forward when others try to hold you back. After the speech, while answering questions from young women eager to follow in my footsteps, I received a final update from James. Ashley had been sentenced to 12 years for corporate espionage and fraud. The money she'd stolen was long gone, spent on luxury purchases in various tropical locations before her arrest. That evening, as I picked up Emma from Barbara's house, my former mother-in-law hugged me tightly. "You've done more for the Baker name than Michael ever did," she said, watching Emma show off her new coding game on her tablet. Driving home to our new house in the historic district, I thought about the past year. Baker's Technologies had doubled in value under my leadership. Our cybersecurity division was revolutionizing the industry, and Emma was growing up in an environment that valued integrity over appearances. Sometimes life's biggest betrayals lead to its greatest opportunities. You just have to be strong enough to walk through the fire and wise enough to build something better from the ashes. I parked the car and picked up a sleepy Emma. As we climbed the steps to our home, I noticed an envelope propped against the door. Inside was a note from Michael. "Elizabeth, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope someday you'll allow me to be part of Emma's life. I made a terrible mistake and I'm paying for it every day. You've built something amazing from the ruins I left. I'm proud of you, even if I no longer have the right to say it. Michael. I crumpled the note and tossed it in the trash bin by the door. The past was behind us, and the future was bright and full of possibilities. I kissed Emma on the forehead and opened the door to our home, a home we had built ourselves without a shadow of lies or betrayal. Tomorrow morning would bring another day as CEO of Baker's Technologies, and I was ready to face it with my head held high. After all, the best revenge is success.